Hello, my name is Jerry and you're watching 3D HP. I've got something really cool to show you right after this. And we're back. I just got 2 bottles of resin in from ZYLTECH and I've got their die kit. Now we can print some really cool stuff. I've got their clear resin and I've got 6 little bottles of dye. And yes, in America, I would call these a quart bottle because this looks exactly like what you might get at the auto parts store to put oil in. But in this case, where there would be a clear window to show how much oil is left in this, that's been covered up by some kind of a black tape because obviously you don't want light to get in and cure the resin. But it's sealed very tight. It looks nice. Black bottle, made in the USA. And it says rapid curing resin, UV wavelength is 405 nm, transparent. And of course, you always need to wear your gloves and glasses when handling resin. Do not ever take the cap off, look at it, smell it. You don't want to splash it, you might get it in your eyes. Always wear safety glasses, always wear plastic gloves. Let me switch screens here and I'll show you what we got. And on the little bottles of dye, we have a yellow. They're 2 milliliter. So we've got a yellow. We've got a white. We've got a black. The camera will focus. Typical problem with cameras. We've got a red. Got a green. And of course, my favorite color, we've got blue. And let's check the weight on the bottles. See what we got here. I've got it set on pounds. We've got 2.38 pounds. And we've got 2.36 pounds. And let me read a little bit of their spec sheet here they got on their website. And here's their website, ZYLTECH.com. I've got the 2 bottles of resin. They do sell them individually, but if you want the kit with the dyes, you can buy a set, or you can buy the dyes separately, or you can buy single bottles of resin. And at the time of this video, the kit is $84.95. That comes with 2 big bottles and 6 bottles of dyes, or you can buy them individually. It has very little odor. The hardness 70D, viscosity 200 CPS at 25C. Curing wavelength is 380 to 420 mm. The shrinkage is less than 1%. Normal exposure time is 5 seconds. And if you'd like their MSDS sheet, it's available upon request. And the first thing I think I'm going to print is going to be, Joe Telling just done a video today, and he's got his safety joel. So I downloaded that off of his YouTube channel. And we're going to print a little safety joel on my Elegoo Mars, and that'll be the first print that I do. So let's get to printing. Well, I was unable to get my camera over here where I have my setup for my resin printer, so I brought the resin printer over here. This is my original Elegoo Mars with the red case on it. I had to clean out my other ZYLTECH or ZYLTECH resin that I had in there, and whenever I do that, I grab a funnel like this you can get at the dollar store, put the funnel in it, take out the vat wearing gloves and glasses, and I pour the excess resin back into the bottle. Put the lid on tight. Then what I clean up the resin with, I got spray away glass cleaner. You can get at Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, anywhere just about. I'm Amazon. And then I spray up all the excess resin with that. And then I use blue shop towels, which you can buy anywhere. And these are very soft. They're not real rough like a lot of your towels you have in the kitchen, paper towels. And then I wipe up everything very good. I do it numerous times. And that's how I clean out my vat. Once I get the vat cleaned out, I use PTFE lubricant, 3-in-1, and I put a couple drops in the vat, take a blue shop towel, wipe it out really good, put a couple drops on the other side, and I do both sides of the PTFE liner, not in the vat, on both sides of it. and that way there's no suction problems. I don't have any sticking problems, and I've been doing that for almost a year now, and I've had zero issues. It's been working out fine for me. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. And then my blue gloves that I get, I go to Harbor Freight and I buy these. They're 5 mil thick and they work great. So my first model is going to be a little safety bot Joel. So I'm going to print that. I'm going to print that in the straight transparent in Sheetabox software. I did not change any settings. I know it says it can cure in like 5 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and just leave my settings alone and see how it comes out. As if somebody bought this and they didn't know any better. They just poured it in and start printing. They didn't change any settings. Let's see how it does. And see if Joel comes out clear. So, anyway, I've got my... And then also I bought to plug in my SD card. I got this flexible cord here. It's like an old phone cord that I put on it. Since the jack is in the back where you plug in your USB at, your flash drive, it just lays on the side of the printer. And then I keep that on top of a tray like you have at a lunchroom or something, or a schoolroom tray. So if there's ever a spill or any problems, it stays in the tray. Never had an issue, but that's why that's there. So, put my glasses on, take off the cover. And then I printed out me a little cover out of ABS just to keep over the resin. Because I'll keep resin in here for 3, 4, 5 weeks without printing. I'll just put the cover on it. Once I take it off, I just stir up the resin a little bit, and it's good to go. Never had a problem drying up on me. And then resin, I never shake it. I just tilt it back and forth a few times. Since this came in the mail today, I'm sure the mailman, it's got shuck up and thrown around and everything else. It's kind of a light yellowish in color. Okay, I filled up the vat about halfway. That'll be good. And another thing, when I first got this printer and I leveled it with a piece of paper like you're supposed to do, you take out the vat, put it in a piece of paper, bring it down, hold it down with your hand, tighten up the screw. I've never ever had to change that. I've never had to re-level it. I've had zero issues with it because I'm not forceful. And then whenever I take off a print, I use a plastic scraper. Plastic scraper always gets underneath the model just fine, and I scrape it straight off into my ultrasonic cleaner, then which I have mean green in. After it's in there, turned on for say 5 to 7 minutes, I'll take it out, shake off the excess, and then it goes into a little pickle barrel, which I have IPA and isopropyl alcohol. I dunk it in there many times. Most of my models I hollow out unless they're very tiny. I'll leave them solid, and then I get plenty of IPA inside the model, douse it really well. Once it's all shaken out and I get all the resin out, then I rinse it with water really well, dry that completely before I cure it. Typically I remove the sports before I cure it in my little UV station. Let's go to print and find the model. There it is, Joel. Clear is what I named it. And I'm not going to time lapse this. My camcorder, for some reason, I can't get it to go into time lapse mode. So we'll start to print here, and then when it gets done, we'll come back and take a look at it, and then move on to the next print. And then the print after this, we're going to use some dye and change colors. And then whenever you remove your gloves, take one hand, pinch the glove, pull it off the way you're not touching it, pull the second glove over the first glove, then you're holding the outside, then you can dispose of them. And if you ever get any resin on the bottle, if it leaks, wipe it off with your gloves on. I didn't have any spill on me. But these blue shop towels are a wonder. Like I say, they're fairly soft. They're not, they won't scratch your Sept. So I'll just double one up, keep it here. Keep my spatula on it. That way when the print comes out, it's ready to go. I'll put on my glasses, put on my gloves. Like I said, go to the ultrasonic cleaner. But we're good to go for now, so we'll come back in a little bit and check it out. And here's another tip I wanted to mention. Whenever you haul a model, you have to have drain holes, the top, the bottom, the side, wherever you put them in. And then you're thinking the model's done. How do you fill that? Very simply, you get on Amazon or somewhere and you buy a little plastic eyedropper. You can take that eyedropper, get a little bit of resin out of your vat or your bottle, and put a drop right over top of where that hole is. Take a UV flashlight. You can buy these on Amazon. And you sit there and hold it on it for 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and it will cure that solid. If it has a dip in it and you need to add more, put another drop, put your light on it and cure that. At the very least, it's going to be too high. Then you can take sandpaper and lightly sand that down. If you don't want to use eyedroppers, you can use Q-tips like you clean your ears with. Take a drop of resin with a Q-tip, put that over it, cure it, and the same process. And that's my tip for how to fill holes on a resin print. Okay, the first print got done. In transparent resin. Let's take a peek at it. I'm going to have to raise it up a little bit to get it out. And I'll throw them in the ultrasonic cleaner and get it cleaned up, and we'll come back and take a look at it. And the plastic scraper, they come off the build surface real easy. Okay, we're going to try the blue dye. Let's go with the blue. Okay, I put 4 drops in the vat. No reason to mix it up. It's going, once the build plate goes down and squash it, it'll put it everywhere. Oh, I forgot I got to lower that. Manually take it back down so I can put the lid back on. Okay, safety jewel's all done. I just put him in my ultrasonic cleaner for 5 or 6 minutes. I have mean green I keep in that. Once I let that go, then I take it out and I put it in my pickle barrel, which I have alcohol in, and I douse it in it quite a few times to get all the resin out of the inside since I hauled the print. I use lightweight supports. They came off like butter. There was no struggling whatsoever. Came off very easy. Once I get all the resin out of it, rinsed with alcohol, then I take it over to the sink and I rinse it out really well there. Remove all the supports, throw them in the garbage. And once this completely dries out and I get all the moisture out of the inside of it, then I'll put it in my little UV curing station. I'll show you a close-up here. He's yellow in color right now. We'll have to wait and see how it cures. But he's been hollowed. And it came out good. No damage, it's all there. I believe I got all the little supports off of it I could see. Well, it came out real good. Now if I wanted to plug this hole here, or on the bottom, once this is completely cured, done, dry, I would take a little bit of resin of the same color and use either a Q-tip or the little plastic eyedropper I showed you and put a drop over it and then cure it with a UV light, my UV flashlight. But we'll get this curing, and when this next print gets done, we'll show you that and we'll move on. So, looks good. Okay, my Loki mask just got done. Jim Carrey the mask. Ooh, that's pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I've never worked with dyes before. And as you've seen, I never mixed it up, so... Well, that came out nice. Came out very nice. Let me take it over to my Sonic. And we're going to do a color change. And I don't have a separate container to put this green in, so unfortunately I'm going to mix it with another resin that I have. Like a dummy, I guess I should have kept my empty bottles, because you never know when you might need them, and I need them and now I don't have them. So if I can put this where you can see what I'm doing. More transparent. And I'm going to print Slimer this time, so let's do a green. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why not? And that'll be plenty of dye. And my build plate all cleaned off. Snugged up. And I got the Loki mask done. I haven't cured it yet, but check this out. That came out nice. Alrighty, Slimer got done. Let's take a look, see how it came out. It looks like Slimer had an issue. The back of him's hollow. So, part of it came out and the back of him did not come out. But as far as for the color's really nice. The green came out good and I didn't stir it up. I have to take a look at that file and figure out what happened there. And here's the base for Slimer. Green came out real nice. And I printed it hollow, so I've got 4 drain holes there in the back. I put this in my ultrasonic cleaner and then alcohol, but I haven't rinsed it yet. Once I rinse it and dry it, then it will, well, at the end of the video here I'll show it again. But it came out very nice. And Slimer was a fail. I have to look at my file and see what happened there, but well, he's partially there. But the color looks nice. And it was printed hollow. Well, I had a small technical difficulty. When I went to start my next print, I forgot that part of Slimer had failed, and I put the die in, and of course the build plate came down and started making a so I shut it off real quick, and I ripped a hole in my FEP. So I took off my resin, I went to dump it to strain it to keep it, but I didn't realize I had a big hole in the FEP, and I made a mess. So I had to clean up the mess, replace the FEP. I had one more sheet, and now we're starting over again. So now we're on to the next print, and I'm going to go with red on this one. I've got more resin put in there, translucent. Let's try some of the red dye. 1, 2. Come on, come out of there. Alright, the red's a dud. Let's go with a different color. Let's try the yellow. When I shuck it, I could hear it, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we got a little bit of red with like 6 drops of yellow. I'm going to lightly mix that up. And yes, I'm not wearing gloves. Yes, I'm being careful. And that looks pretty good. Cover back on. Okay, my toilet paper Santa got done, which I believe the file was called Merchant. Let's take a look at it. That's pretty. Have to, yeah, it goes like that, upright. Let me show you how easy that comes off the build plate. Just like that. Put that in ultrasonic cleaner. Okay, this time for my next color change, I simply dumped the resin out of the vat back into my bottle, and the bottle that I'm mixing up different colors in. And I didn't use my glass cleaner spray away to clean it really good. I just wiped it out real good. I'm just putting more resin in it so that the wipe is wiped out well enough. No reason to clean it perfectly. Then I put a little more 3-in-1 PTFE lubricant in it and wiped it out. So let's add some more resin. This time I'm taking the vat a little over halfway. Print a goodie. And let's see what color we're going to play with. Let's try their black. Okay, we have dye in this one. I can hear it shaking back and forth. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we went with 8 drops of dye. If I could cloud it up really good, I'm not going to mix it up. I think it'll be good. I think it'll blend. Well, maybe I should. Alright, let me lightly mix it. Kind of run it back and forth with my spatula here. Help it blend a little bit. Not sure how it's going to turn out, but we'll see. Alrighty. Raise my Z up a little bit. And I'll give you a teaser here. Let me get it cleaned up and I'll show you what it's going to be. But there's part of something that I'm printing. And yes, that's a horse. Well, let's see how the next print came out. And yes, my shirt keeps changing. This is day after day after day process here. I didn't throw a fancy shirt on today, just an old shirt I had. I'm working on my truck outside at the moment. It came out nice. Got to get all the supports off. Well, something amazing just happened here. I guess I used too much dye. When I added more resin to printing this base, I added some more dye. I did not mix it up. And it looks like the print came off the bed, the build plate. Half of it did anyway. I seen that earlier and I was hoping it would finish and still hang on. So the print did finish. And probably 3/4 of it is no longer sticking. Let me show you what happened here. See if you can see it on camera. I guess I had too much dye and it unadhered from the build plate. It did finish. It might be a little oblong. It looks like it's a little oblong. I'll check that when I get it done. I'll check it against the file. Yeah, we've got issues here. Definitely had some issues. The color came out nice. It's like a rock landscape. But definitely had some issues. I'm going to have to check the file and see if it's supposed to have those cuts in it. It might be like that. I'm not sure. It might be oval. But the big thing here is that came off the build plate. And see how easy that just came off? I just barely touched it and it fell off. So evidently, you can see right there where part of it's dry, where we're still adhered. Almost lost the whole thing. So it did finish. I definitely had too much dye. So it looks like that's an issue. When you use dyes, don't use too much dye because you change the composition of the resin and things no longer properly want to stick. So let me go ahead and drop this in my ultrasonic cleaner real quick. Keep it over my towel. I'm going to dump out what's left of that black resin, the dye in it, and we'll get some white going. Put some more translucent in there, and we're going to dye it white, carefully dye it white, and then we'll start the next print. So what have I learned using these dyes? Don't use too much dye. First off, use too much dye and things will not stick to the build plate. And then Slimer might have had too much dye. That could be why part of him failed. Because typically I've been printing with different resins for the last year now. I've never tried ZYLTECH before with the dyes. And my prints always stick to my build plates. Sometimes, most of the time, I got to use a little bit of force with a scraper to get underneath them and pop them off. But since I'm using dyes, they're not adhering as well as I thought they would. So you have to be real careful how much dye you use. If there's another reason, please leave your comment below and let me know why, but it sure looks to me like I probably used too much dye and I changed the composition of the resin. I took it about halfway. And my next color will be white. Okay, it feels like there's white in there and it dried up. One, two, three, four. 4 drops. Alrighty, my Ammon mask just got done in white. We had tinted the resin with white. Let's take a look at it. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention. I stopped by Harbor Freight a little bit ago, and in the past I've been using these 5 mil gloves for everything. And for 100 of them, they're like $5.99. Well, since the pandemic came along, I wound up buying 7 mil. They were at a 5 mil. The 5 mil got jacked up from $5.99 to $13.99. Of course, they were sold out. And they only come with 50 in the box. These had 100 for $5.99. Now these other boxes, the new and improved boxes, they're just slightly smaller, but now there's only 50 in here. So it says on the box, 50 gloves. And the other ones had 100. And then I think these were, $15.99 for the 7 mil, a little bit thicker than what I usually use. Crazy how companies like to jack up prices because of, take advantage of the situation. So just want to throw that out there. Let's take a look and see how this came out. And like I said, the resin does have a slight odor. It's not real strong, but I can notice it. And I've got to raise it so I can get it out of there. Go to tools. Nope, not, yeah. Manual. Up. That should be good. A little bit higher. Did it go up? Yep, it's all the way. If you can see it on camera here. I used the white, I'm still seeing a yellow tint to it. Guess I only put in 2 drops of white, possibly 3. I have to clean it up, but I'm not seeing. Let's see how well it stuck to the build plate this time. Comes off very easy. So it did stick better. So definitely putting too much dye in affects the resin, and it wasn't sticking as well at the build plate. Now I'm going to have to throw this multisonic cleaner and get it all cleaned up, and we'll see what we got. Alrighty, here's how the mask came out. It's still wet with IPA. And I've got one hole right there in the top in it. To look at my, hope that's not my LCD going bad already. I haven't printed with it that much after I replaced it. And I have a new FAP, so I'll check that when I change it. But yeah, it's printed solid. It came out real good. It is flexible, so that's kind of nice to know. It's not real brittle. Well, it's flexible because I haven't cured it yet, but so rinse that off, let it dry, and then I'll cure it, and then it's going to be hard. But anyway. Alrighty, my next print just got done in white. And it's a benchy. Let's see how it came out. I didn't put much dye in it. I wanted good adhesion to the build platform. And it's still yellowish. It has white dye in it, so I guess I didn't use enough white. That's how easy it comes off the build platform. Got to take all the supports off, but it printed nice. Okay, my test prints are all done. And Joel was done in the transparent resin. He cured for like 8 to 10 hours by mistake. And then my almond mask, that had a couple drops of white dye in it, and it did not blend with the resin very well. You can't see any white in it at all. But then again, I'm just experimenting with resin. Here we have the blue resin. You can see at the bottom there's a couple bright spots of blue. I didn't mix it up. I just, as you've seen in the video, I just dropped it in, and it did blend very well. And then I had a failed print on my Slimer. The back half of him didn't come out. And I forgot to get part of it out of the bat, at which point I ripped my Sept and had to replace it. I forgot to check the bat. But the green with the dye blended very well, came out nice. The black came out very nice on Meg's model here. Benchy came out real good. I also left this in my UV oven too long, let it cure, but it's translucent. And I believe, I don't remember, I think I used yellow on that. It didn't. And then I used red dye on this one. I didn't mix it. As you can see, some spots that are real red. It looks like it's orangish to me. A red tint, more orange than red. And my red dye was dead on arrival. It was dried up. And the white, I believe it was, didn't blend too well. The black and the green and the blue did blend very well with transparent resin. But lots of goodies. And then as I changed colors on the vat, I took another bottle of resin from a different company. I dumped my excess back in with it and blended it because I didn't have an extra container. So my suggestion would be, when you guys have empty resin bottles, don't throw them all away. Save some. You never know when you might want to experiment with colors and you need somewhere to dump your excess resin. So save your bottles. Well, that's about it, guys. I hope you learned something, as I did, since I've never tested dyes with resins before. And most of them blended very well in the resin. A couple of them didn't blend. And basically, I started off just putting 2 or 3 drops in. You could see it blend and merge. And then I allowed the build plate, when it came down, to disperse it and blend it. And some of the colors worked great, some of them not so great. And the red I had issues with. I only got like a drop out of it, and it was kind of 1 or 2 drops, and it was like a clump. And then it was dried up. So the red dye was dead on arrival, basically. Worked pretty good. It seemed like, in my opinion, if I put too much dye in, I had trouble with it adhering to the build plate. And typically when I work with plain old gray resin from whatever company, you usually have to scrape it pretty good to get it loose. A couple of them practically fell off the build plate. So I'm not sure how the dye was affecting it, if I had too much in or I was doing something wrong. But I just want to kind of show you a video on my experience with ZYLTECH Resin and Dye. The product is out of Texas. The resin is made here in the USA. There's a link below in the description if you'd like to check out them to get resin, 3D printing parts, printers, PETG, PLA, TPU. There's a discount code where you can save money with them by using my link. And I hope you liked the video. So if you have any questions or comments, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment below. Like and share the video. I'd really appreciate it. So I'll wait and see you on the next one. Thank you and happy printing.